Hi guys, in this episode of Plumbing's Thought Zone, I'm gonna be sharing my thoughts on every season of Telltale's The Walking Dead, seeing that I just finished it. And before we get into it, honestly, I'm just gonna be completely honest with you, I am kind of depressed at the moment. I'm pretty sure that this depression was caused by the game, like it's a post-game depression kind of thing, where you feel very sad and depressed after you finish a good game or you finish a good TV show or anything along those lines. You just feel sad that you're never gonna see these characters again or that your journey with them is sad. It's kind of like you're losing somebody, you know? And I am in that uh, slump at the moment. So I don't know how good of a video this is gonna turn out to be, but I do want to share my thoughts that I have on the season in a somewhat concise manner instead of just for you guys having to watch all the playthroughs to get my opinions of it. And I want to do that while my thoughts are still fresh and I have not forgotten how I feel about every single season. Although at this point I do not really have much of a feeling for like season 1 because it's been so long since I started doing my playthrough of Telltale's The Walking Dead that it's been pretty much almost a year. But yeah, where do I start? I mean, I guess first I just want to talk a little bit more about my depression at the moment because I hope that I don't end up falling into like a proper depression because I used to be super depressed back in like 2018, 2017 when I was in high school, like right before I started my YouTube channel. And my YouTube channel is actually one of the reasons, one of the things that kind of pulled me out of that depression for the most part, I would say. So I really hope I don't fall down that hole again because it was a hellish experience. And the things that I've been feeling and the thoughts that I've been having the last few days, and I'm not talking about suicidal thoughts or anything, it's just the thoughts about I kind of have been having a little bit of an existential crisis, is what I'm trying to say. Because the final season of Telltale's The Walking Dead is such an emotional experience in so many ways. It's both such a dark and gruesome and sad, but also such a wholesome experience that you just end up feeling like this, you know? The feeling that I got from the final season, I'm pretty sure I got it when I played it originally, although it's been a while, so I can't tell you for sure. But I feel like this time it's been much more intense than before because I feel like now I'm gonna remember how emotional and how depressed I've been feeling after finishing it, whereas I don't really remember feeling these powerful emotions after this. Like, this is kind of how I felt after playing Life is Strange for the first time, which is why I think the final season of Telltale's The Walking Dead has so many similarities with the way the story is done with Life is Strange, the first season. Because just like in the final season of Telltale's The Walking Dead, in Life is Strange Season 1, for the most part, like, you have so many wholesome moments that you just get to hang around with the characters and just do cool shit or interesting shit that teenagers would do. But then there's also the darker and more emotional parts which also are present in the final season. It's like the wholesome things pull you into the story and make you enjoy it, and then the sad and emotional and dark parts beat you down to a pulp. And that is a present thing in both games. And that's why I honestly feel like I'm gonna go out and say that the final season of Telltale's The Walking Dead is probably my favorite season. Maybe not necessarily the best, although it is the best in some ways, but it's 100% my favorite season and the one that I enjoy replaying the most. But yeah, I'm hoping that with this video and sharing my thoughts and feelings that I have about Telltale's The Walking Dead, my depression and my feelings are gonna go away a little bit because I've read online about a way to deal with depression after a TV show or a video game where you're sad that a character died or just about sad about losing the characters, where you write down on a in a notebook or whatever you want to write it on, what you want to say to the characters or the feelings that you have. And that kind of alleviates the pain or emotional pain that you're suffering from. And I've actually done that before when I was watching the main show in the premiere of the 7th season. I'm not gonna say what happens if you guys want to check it out, I don't want to spoil it, but something pretty big happens in the premiere of the 7th season, and that caused me to be super depressed about what happened. And the only thing that actually helped me and kind of instantly made me feel better is just writing down on all the thing that I wanted to say to the characters in the show. And it helped. So I'm hoping that by doing this video, my pain is going to be alleviated. And I feel like it already has started to kind of go away a little bit, which I'm kind of glad about. But yeah, let's first start out with the first season. I like the first season a lot because, like I've talked in my playthroughs, in terms of locations that you get to explore, season 1 is unbeatable. Like, season 4 also doesn't really have that many locations. You do get to explore locations in a more three-dimensional way, which I definitely love that, but I still would have liked more locations that we actually get to explore like that, because the three-dimensionality of season 4 definitely feels so good and so refreshing compared to the previous 3 seasons. But it's still not as much of an you don't really get as much of an exploration as you do in season 1, because in season 1 there's like so many levels that you get to just walk around and explore. Starting off from Herschel's farm, you have the pharmacy, you have the motel, you have the farm, you have the train where you get the train, you have the bridge, then you have the house in Savannah. You actually get to explore it so much. Like, there's so many locations you get to explore, and that combined with the visuals, like the art style and the look of the game, which definitely looks much more, much less lively and much more low quality compared to season 4. Like, the final season definitely feels much more lively, and it's by far the liveliest and most, I don't know even want to say polished, but it just feels the most developed, like the most full look to the game. It still works, it's still great, and it fits with the dead feel that a zombie apocalypse would have, so I don't mind it, I enjoy it. But I do like how by season 4 we have a much more lively experience with that. So season 1 is great. And another thing that I really like about season 1 is that instead of focusing on one story that is overarching, while it does that, instead of just doing that like season 2, season 3, and season 4 do, it also has its more episodic villains, thus giving it more of an actual feeling of a season instead of, I don't know, like a 10-hour movie or whatever. Because in episode 1, the villain is debatably Lily and her dad, maybe you could say. Or just the walkers. They are the villains of the episode, and the episode is just about getting to a safe place. Then in episode 2, you have the cannibals from the farm. They are the villains of episode 2. And in episode 3, I guess you could say the bandits. That counts. I would say it counts, because it is the reason why certain things happen, but they're not the main focus per se. Then in episode 4, you could say it's Crawford, because it's this big overarching enemy that we have to deal with. And then in episode 5 is the stranger. And yeah, you could say that the story has been set up in a way where it's an overarching, the face-off with the stranger was an overarching story, but it's more of like an episodic thing with some continuity, you know? It's kind of like actually like a season of a TV show. While season 2, season 3, and 4 especially, have much more overarching and just continuous kind of thing, where instead of being 5, or in the case of season 4, 4 separate episodes that have episodic stories, it's more like a 5-parter or a 4-parter. which is a perfectly viable approach, but I feel like just doing what season 1 did made it feel more impactful because we got more story out of it, you know? Because there's certain benefits to doing both, like even in the TV show, there's benefits to doing more episodic stories, and then there's benefits to doing a more overarching story. Neither is necessarily bad, but I don't like how after season 2 the overarching story kind of became the prominent way of doing it and kind of the only way of doing it, because I would have liked some episodic stuff as well. Yeah. Is there anything else I want to cover about season 1? I mean, the characters are pretty enjoyable and are all iconic and memorable, but it did give us like the three best characters of The Walking Dead, or debatably the three main characters of Telltale's The Walking Dead, which is Lee, Kenny, and Clementine. And like I've talked during my playthroughs, I consider season 1 to be Lee's game, season 2 to be Kenny's game, because once he shows up in episode 2, the game kind of starts to revolve around him and you pleasing him or going against his wishes, because he kind of becomes like the leader or whatever. So that's kind of what the focus of the game becomes. And I love season 2 because of that, because Kenny is genuinely one of my favorite characters. Like, I love all the main characters of Telltale's The Walking Dead, but I love Kenny a lot. And I honestly both kind of understand, but also don't agree at all with people who hate Kenny. Like, I understand why certain people will be angry at Kenny, because if you don't agree with Kenny about everything, he really becomes a pissy bitch. But at the same time, Kenny has always been pretty much right. And anything that he is wrong about, it's like a character flaw and it's understandable. And like when he is not ready to give up on Doug after he gets bit, I understand why he wouldn't want to. It's understandable and relatable. And that's part of the reasons why I love Kenny so much. But yeah, all the characters from season 1 were pretty good and pretty entertaining, and they didn't feel like they're just like cut out characters with no depth, or they were just rip-off of other characters. Because as the seasons progressed, with season 2 and season 3, the characters just got worse. That doesn't mean that we didn't get good characters, because I think after my most recent playthrough, we actually get pretty good characters in season 2 and 3, and 3 especially, which I didn't think about like that about it before. But season 1 and 4 are by far the two seasons who pretty much every character in those seasons is interesting and unique and memorable. And that's why I consider those two seasons to be the best, you know? So yeah, season 1, really, really good game. It's completely understandable why it's as iconic as it is and why everybody loves it as much as they do. Although I feel like Lee is a little bit overrated, and hear me out, put down your pitchforks. I don't mean that he's a bad character or that people shouldn't like him or anything. I just sometimes get the impression that people are genuinely mad that Clementine is the main character of the story because they want the main character to be a big, tough male. And that just bothers me. It's kind of like how the same kind of reason why people hate The Last of Us 2, because it's Ellie and Abby's games and not really Joe's. Wow, the first one was pretty big part Joe's. It's like kind of the same. Like those kind of people just want to play as a guy and not really as like a girl. And that just pisses me off, because I feel like as good as Lee is as a character, and I love him, he's a great character, Clementine is more interesting. Like, whether you like it or not, Clementine is the most interesting character. Seeing this character grow over the course of the series of the games is just more interesting than having Lee around. And especially because Lee's character development was done at the end of season 1. So while I think it could be interesting to explore the possibilities of what if Lee survived past season 1, I don't think it's necessary. His story was done. And I like that the games only brought him for like once in a series flashback, and I don't think they brought him back in season 3, so which makes sense honestly. But yeah, that's for season 1. So season 2, I mean, I've already kind of talked about it a little bit. When I originally played it, I honestly enjoyed it just fine. I definitely have grown to really, 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 really like the art style of season 2. I feel like season 2 visually has aged much better than season 1. Because like I said, season 1, I love the look. I still do. But it definitely stinks more of low quality video game than season 2, which looks much more much more stylized and much more unique. And I feel like in certain way, because of that, like the characters in season 2 are still debatably the best looking characters out of all the seasons. It's just the way that they're done is just the most unique and most memorable, and the best aging, you know. And on the same note, I think season 3's characters look the worst, easily. But I still feel like season 3 is probably gonna age better than season 1, because on my most recent playthrough, I actually started to enjoy the visual look of season 3. At least when it comes to the new characters and not Kenny or Jane, because they look terrible. But like, I've actually grown to really like how Javi looks. I really like how Kate looks as well. But yeah, I'm gonna talk about it, season 3, more in a second, and I have a lot to say about it. But yeah, season 2's story is still kind of weak and all over the place, which makes sense because there was a lot of rewrites about it, and it didn't turn out exactly how they wanted it to. And it really kind of feels that way because for most of the game there's a constant clash between Kenny and Luke, and literally in the episode where you get reintroduced to Kenny, you have that table scene where you're supposed to pick between the two, and then at the end of the game it switches to Kenny versus Jane, which just kind of comes out of fucking nowhere. I feel like the right way that they could have done the story, if they still wanted it to do it this way, is maybe have Jane die at the lake instead of Luke, and then at the end of the episode Luke and Kenny have a clash like that. Although in that case it wouldn't really make any sense for Luke to do what Jane did, so I don't know how they would deal with that. They would have to have AJ actually die there or something along those lines, and I feel like that would have been a much harder choice to make compared to Kenny versus Jane. And that said, when I originally played season 2, I did end up killing Kenny because I kind of bought into what Jane was trying to say, because at the time, and still to this day, to an extent, I'm a very lone wolf kind of person. I'm very individualistic and on my own, and I prefer to be like that. I like to be like that. So I bought into Jane's kind of loner mentality, and that's why I kind of liked it. Well, Kenny was clearly becoming too aggressive unnecessarily. Even though Arvo deserves the beatings that he got from Kenny, Kenny does kind of attack him for things that are outside of his control. Those kind of things were kind of starting to push me more and more away from Kenny, and at the end there, I kind of allow him to kill Jane. So I shot him. And I went with Jane at Howie's, and I think I allowed the family to come in, but I'm not sure about that. It's been so long, and I've replayed season 1 and 2 especially so many times that I already have a memory for every single one, every single ending of it, so there's no way to really discern which one was done when. But yeah, season 2, for the longest time, I feel like emotionally, or it just kind of gave me this feeling that now season 4 does, where I was always depressed after finishing it, because for the longest time, season 1 and 2 were the only existing games. in the Telltale Walking Dead series that I could play, because season 3 was released only in 2017, and I had played season 1 and 2, I think, either in late 2015 or early 2016. So for me, at that point in time, season 2 was the ending of the game, so to speak. So after finishing it, I was feeling depressed and sad that the journey is over, and I was constantly rethinking about all the moments and experiences that we had with Clem. And that's what season 4 does now to me. Although it's much more impactful, because in general season 4 is much more emotional and impactful, but I still have a soft spot for season 2 because of the nostalgic feel that it has. It's kind of cozy and kind of I don't know how to really describe the feeling that season 2 gives me, but I do like the kind of the tone that it has, like there's a storm coming and we're surviving alone in the cold and the freezing. And I don't know, that kind of atmosphere, I guess I just really feel nostalgic about the atmosphere of season 2, and I really like it because of that. So overall, I like season 2. Although I do feel like it's definitely not as impactful as season 1 or season 3. It's definitely the least impactful season. So yeah, season 1 has the best exploration. Season 2, or I guess let's just go by the things that I feel like the seasons fail at. I mean, for season 1, there isn't really anything that I can say it fails at. I guess maybe the visual style for the characters hasn't aged as well as one would think. But like, season 1 is really good at the season 2 has a really good atmosphere, but it is the least impactful season. So season 1 is really good at the exploration of locations. You have so many locations to explore, but the visual style of the characters has definitely aged a little worse than one would expect. Season 2 has a really good atmosphere, but it's definitely the least impactful season. And now, getting into season 3. I honestly kind of enjoyed it this time when I played through it. Like, if you haven't watched my playthroughs of it, in which case, why the hell are you even watching this video? I really enjoyed it on this playthrough. Like, when it was originally released in 2017, like I've talked about in my playthroughs, I'm gonna be reiterating a lot. I played the first 2 episodes, and I didn't enjoy them. Definitely did not enjoy them as much as season 2 and season 1. They weren't necessarily bad, but I just could not give 2 shits about anything that was happening in the episode. So they did not engage me at all, and I actually didn't end up playing episodes 3, 4, 5 when they were released. It wasn't until 2019 when I was starting my YouTube channel and I wanted to do Telltale's The Walking Dead as the first videos on my YouTube channel that I actually played through season 3 for the first time, although I had watched playthroughs of it by that point. So I kind of knew where the story was going to be going and everything, but that's the first time I actually played through it. And even then, I feel like it wasn't that enjoyable. For whatever reason, it's so much better on replay. I don't know why. I really do not know why. It was so fun playing through season 3. Especially because I felt like season 2 was kind of a little bit of a chore to play through. And yes, the fact that I've played through season 1 and season 2 so many times definitely plays into the fact that I don't enjoy them as much and don't have as visceral of a reaction towards them at this point. And season 3 in comparison, I just haven't played it that many times. But even season 4 didn't give me that kind of enjoyment that season 3 did. It was just kind of exciting. Like, I've watched a couple of reviews of Telltale's The Walking Dead, and I think the main video which comes up when you look The Walking Dead Telltale retrospective, he talked about how season 3 of the Telltale games feels the most like the TV show. Like it's all action and not much depth or much emotional stakes per se, just like the TV show. And I feel like maybe that's why I actually enjoyed it so much at this point. Like, I honestly can't find a better explanation about why. Like, because, like, even originally when I played through it in 2019, I knew what was gonna be happening. So, it's not novelty the reason why I enjoyed it so much. And I don't know, it was just so exciting. Like, the visual style kind of actually didn't look as bad as it used to look to me, and I've really grown to love Javi's look, and like I said, Kate's look, and even them both as characters have been so much more entertaining on this last playthrough. Like, I really fell in love with both characters, and I really liked them, and I really liked the love between them. Like, you should just watch my playthroughs to see how much I enjoy that. And episode 3 in particular of that season is so damn fun. I loved all the politics and trying to wiggle your way out of the arguments and convince other people. Like, it was so fun. I really enjoyed it. And the action and everything was so good. And goddamn Gabe's death. Holy shit, that hit me like a motherfucker. I did not see that coming. Like, when I was doing that episode, I actually made a choice that I didn't like. Like, in the point in the episode where you're supposed to pick whether you want to go with Kate and Clem and help them defend Richmond, or go and save David and Gabe, or save Gabe from David, I chose to go with David and Gabe. And when I did, as you may know, David dies, but Gabe survives. And that was a pretty sad scene. I actually teared up. And I don't know if I'm gonna put it in the video, because at the point of which I'm recording this review, I still have not uploaded even a single episode of Season 3. I'm just gonna be uploading the finale of Season 2. But I teared up. I cried when I saw David die. Like, it was really sad. But then, if you have Gabe survive that encounter, Kate dies, and after seeing how in love Kate and Javi were in the previous episode, I just could not allow Kate to die. I do not care that much about Gabe, so I reverted the episode, and I just replayed it once more in that recording session, and I got to that point again, and this time picked to go with Kate. And in that case, Kate survives, but Gabe dies. And boy, did I not fucking expect for Gabe's death to hit me. It was so sad, dude. I fucking cried. Like, especially when he called Javi his true father. Like, he was more father. He might not have been his dad, but his father, but he was his dad. Like, that shit for some reason really fucking hit me. And I'm pretty sure when I originally played through Season 3 for the first time in 2019, I think I got the same ending, because I remember Kate surviving in that one, which would mean that Gabe has died. So yeah, overall, Season 3 was a much more exciting and fun experience than I thought it was going to be, and it's actually one of the seasons that whenever I do replay Telltale's The Walking Dead again, I'm gonna be actually excited about. Like, it's pretty fucking exciting. I'm kind of contemplating if when it comes to rating these seasons, to rate Season 3 above Season 2, because I feel like the highs of Season 3 are higher than the ones of Season 2. I like the atmosphere of Season 2 compared to the Season 3 one, but I kind of really enjoy the story and the characters of Season 3 this time, to the point that I feel like Season 3 is debatably better than 2. I still like what 2 is about, but Season 3 is just a little better, I feel like. I don't know. I'm really curious what you guys think about that, though, because I personally really enjoyed Season 3 on this playthrough. As you will see once I upload it, or, well, for you, I've already uploaded it a while ago. But, like, if you watch my playthroughs of Season 3, you'll see how much I flippin' enjoyed it. Yeah, overall, I don't really have too much to say about it. Other than that, other than how much I enjoyed it, I like the inclusion of Jesus. He also was a really cool character, but uh, the things that improved in this season for me, and that I actually really love right now, is Javi and Kate. I really, really enjoyed Javi and Kate this time. I thought Javi was a bland protagonist before, but now I fucking love him, dude. He's like in my top 5 characters. Which, if you're curious who those top 5 characters are, it's Clem, Kenny, Violet, Lee, and Javi. Debate of actually, it might be Javi then Lee, because I feel like Javi might be a little bit more interesting, but I don't know. I feel like I just relate a little bit more to Javi because I'm kind of. I mean, I don't know what age he is, like in the beginning of the zombie apocalypse, like how old is he supposed to be, but I am 21 right now. I'm gonna be 22 this year. So I feel like I'm not that far off from him at this point, which might help about why I relate to him more this time, but like, I really enjoyed his character, and he's definitely become one of my favorite characters in The Walking Dead, for sure. But yeah, now we come to Season 4, which... I mean, like I said, I actually didn't have as much of a visceral reaction towards it as I did for Season 3, which I kind of expected that would be the case because Season 4, when I originally played it, I loved it right off the bat. Like, it was a great and obviously so much better and so much more polished than Season 3 was, because even when playing through the games right now, I had so many bugs and so many issues in Season 3, and I didn't have any in Season 4, so clearly more effort was put into making the games for Season 4, but everything just felt so much more developed and polished in Season 4, from the characters to the camera to the visuals. Everything was so much better. So, like I explained in my playthroughs, for me, Season 4, as I played it originally, was like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. While A New Frontier was at the best a 7. But closer to like a 6, 6.5. But now, after playing through it, my opinion of Season 3 has climbed up to be like an 8.5. While for the final season, it's pretty much stayed at about the 9 out of 10. So it's just the fact that Season 3 had much more room to develop, while Season 4 was already a perfect game. One of the reasons why I didn't really have a visceral reaction to it as I did. But it was still very enjoyable. I still love the cinematography. Like, it's so fucking good. Like, it's so good that I cannot even talk about specific moments about it. It's just the whole experience is so good. The characters are the best we've had since Season 1, like the whole cast of characters, not just the main characters, and they are just oozing personality out of them. I feel like genuinely the cast of Season 4 is by far my favorite, and I feel like debatably they are the most interesting and the most memorable cast of characters, even better than Season 1, honestly. And the fact that this season was focused on kids Clem's age, just for some reason really fucking worked. Like, again, like I pointed out, the similarities between Life is Strange and the final season of Telltale's The Walking Dead. In that game, similarly, the villain is an adult, while the good guys and the victims are teenagers. That's pretty much the same for the final season. The villain is an adult, the villains are adults, and the victims and the protagonists are teenagers and kids, and it just really works. And it's just that for the first time, Clem is put with people her age and not adults, which she is better than, obviously, and more capable than, which kind of creates this weird feel for the other characters and makes them to be very incompetent or dumb. But when she's with people at her level, it just feels so satisfying. I don't know why. And the fact that it's also kind of like a coming of age story a little bit definitely makes me love it so much more as well, because that's the case for Life is Strange. And for another thing that gives me the same kind of vibe where I'm sad every time it's over, that being the Yu-Gi-Oh series, Yu-Gi-Oh GX. That one is also a coming of age story, and it's so fucking good. it's just I'm a sucker for coming of age stories, and the final season is exactly that, and I love it. I love the love interest for Clementine. Both Louis and Violet are perfect for her. Although I obviously chose Violet because I love her more, because I'm into females. So the character that I play as is obviously going to be into that as well. But I also just like her personality and her character. Like if I ever uh, find a soulmate, I want her to be like that. I would want her to be like that. Like Violet is the perfect girl for me, like I said in my playthrough. But I do love that the game gives you the choice to choose between Violet and Luke. I personally, or Louis, I personally would have preferred, or would have liked, should I say, if we actually got the option to be with any of the cast. That would obviously be a huge undertaking for them to do, but I feel like Louis and Violet, because of the fact that their love interest for Clementine, get more development than the other characters, because they're also kind of debatably like uh, the main-ish or deuteragonist characters, like the secondary main uh, protagonist of the season. So by comparison, other characters like Willie, Asim, and Ruby don't really get as much development as them. And I would have liked the option at least. I feel like that would spice up, especially for replay value. Could have been interesting. Or maybe I just want Asim as a optional love interest. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, there was so much care, effort put into season 4. So many emotional moments, so many memorable, beautiful scenes. Like, it's so good on every goddamn level. And I genuinely think season 4 is the best. I understand there's a huge love for season 1, and I completely agree that it deserves it. It's so good as well. But I feel like season 4 is so polished and so good in every way, shape, or form. It's like the best of the previous 3 seasons put into one. And it's the pinnacle of it. And it's a shame that it's not as talked about or as beloved as season 1 by the general audience. Which makes sense because season 1 was like a breakout hit, while season 4 was the dying whimper of Telltale. But yeah, I really, really love season 4. And like I said earlier, there's certain things that each season is good at and things that it sucks at. Like season 1 is really good at the exploration of locations that you get to do and the more episodic approach to the story. While kind of sucking in terms of the visuals, especially compared to the other seasons, which I feel like are better, have aged better. Season 2 has really good atmosphere, and I like Clementine as the main character in it and seeing her develop and become more mature. I love Kenny being kind of the main focus of the second season once he gets in, but it is definitely the least, I don't want to say least memorable, but it's the least impactful game out of the 4. But it has a great visual art style, and I really, really like it. It looks so beautiful. Season 3 kind of sucks at the emotional moments, for the most part. Like, it doesn't really have any moments where it's wholesome, and it's just the characters chilling. It's like constant action, constant stuff happening. You just can't really take a breath. And that's a valid approach for the story, but compared to the other games, which do give you moments of just chilling, this one doesn't. And it also doesn't help the fact of how goddamn short the episodes are. But the pacing, for the most part, keeps things exciting. Outside of episode 4, which really felt like it was just padding. But for the most part, the pacing keeps things exciting, and it's a really exciting experience. Visually, I've grown to love it. It has some really interesting characters. And I think it's a testament to the game when I actually cried my eyes out when a character that is not very likable ended up dying at the end. I don't know. I really felt sad about Gabe. But the game also has the most bugs out of any season, and at first the new visual change can be a little bit hard to get used to. Season 4 is really good at the emotional stuff. I love how pretty much majority of that game is actually just fucking around and just chilling and just talking with the characters and just living instead of just constant action or constant bad things. It's a different approach from all the other seasons apart from maybe 2, but it's like taking the season 2 approach and just expanding it even more. And that actually leads to why all the characters are so memorable and so interesting and so entertaining in my opinion. But it's not like it doesn't have shortcomings as well. One of those being that there's a very limited amount of locations that you actually get to be to. Those being the main one, obviously being the school, and kind of the second most memorable being the train station. Because the boat isn't even that particularly memorable. Like for me, the two locations that I remember in season 4 are the school and the train station. I would have liked more. I feel like that's the one thing that season 4 kind of fails at. We could have gotten more locations. I would have liked more locations. But it's not like the story or the game doesn't work just because there's a limited amount of locations. That's just kind of like a nitpick, so to say, about season 4 that I have a little bit of an issue with. But it nails pretty much everything else. The visuals, the music, the characters, the plot. It's all great. I love it. I love it. I also do wish though that it was a little bit longer. I would have liked if it was a 5-episode season with 5 2-hour long episodes, because I love how episodes 1 and 2 are like 2.5 hours long at the fucking least, which is by far the longest episodes of any season. But episode 3 kind of starts to get a little shorter, clocking up at 2 hours, and episode 4 is by far the shortest at about an hour and a half. And it's not like the story necessarily needs more. I feel like it works fine. It's just that it kind of makes the second half of the season feel cheaper or worse off, which could be because it was Skybound finishing the game with most of Telltale people who are working on The Walking Dead. So they only had limited things to work with to finish it and just kind of patched it up, just like how Clem's leg gets cut off and it just gets patched up. That's kind of how they finished the season as well. They cut out some things just to make sure they actually end up finishing the game and it's not an incomplete game. But it just, the fact that the final 2 episodes are shorter like that just kind of makes you think that something went wrong there. And it just doesn't feel as like solidly high quality as episodes 1 and 2, because with episodes 1 and 2 it's so good and the episodes are so long and there's so much happening, and in the final 2 episodes 3 and 4, it doesn't quite have that feeling. And it's not a big deal because like it's still good, the tone is still the same, everything still is of the same level of quality. I just feel like the length just adds more weight and more sophistication to the whole thing that I feel like it lacks in the second half. But I do really, really like it still. But yeah, it's been a goddamn experience and I can't wait to replay this game again. It was so goddamn good. And I think it's honestly safe to say that I've pulled myself out of the depression hole. Sharing my feelings and sharing my thoughts and my love for this game has definitely helped me, because right now I don't really feel depressed like how I did in the beginning. I don't feel like I don't really want to do anything and I just want to go to bed and soak in the bed anymore. So I guess talking shit out helps. So if you ever feel down or you feel depressed, feel free to talk to me, I guess. As long as I'm still a small YouTube channel and I can see your comment, I will make sure to hear you out and help you. Because I know what it is to not have anybody to talk to, and you guys have been a huge help in my the improvement of my mental health. But yeah, I am curious, what do you guys think about Telltale's The Walking Dead? What have your experiences with Telltale's The Walking Dead have been? How much you love it? How much how it compares to other games? For me, it's straight up my favorite game series, for sure. I don't know. It's hard to say whether any of these games is my favorite game ever. I think the final season has a big chance to be like my favorite game ever, but I've also never really thought about it too much. Like, I haven't sat down and considered the reasons why I like this game in comparison to this game or whatever. I just know that games like Life is Strange Season 1 and the final season of Telltale's The Walking Dead just give give me such an emotional reaction that they shape me as a person. And I love it, and I want more games like that. But I'm curious, what do you guys think about these kind of games? And in general, I just want to hear your thoughts. Anything that you have to say about the things that I talked about in this video, comment down below. And also, before we end this video, I just want to give a huge shout out to my currently 3 patrons on Patreon. Almari Bridgman, Deadpool, and our newest supporter, Zhen Chen. Thank you guys for your support. I really appreciate it. It really means a lot to me. They have decided to support me. And for those of you who have continued to support me for such a long time, I thank you so much, because you've been a great help to the channel. I hope you continue to enjoy my content and continue to support me going forward. Thank you very much for every little penny that you have decided to support me with. It means a lot. And now, before we end this video, I just want to talk about something to you guys very quickly, which some of you may or may have not noticed before or know about me, that being the fact that I am trans. And yes, this may come as shocking to some of you, because I don't really flaunt it that much on my channel, or at least I feel like I don't. Outside of like my K-pop reactions, which is where I feel like the most comfortable being myself like this. And yeah, I am in fact trans. I'm not necessarily full-on male to female, but I heavily want to transition to being pretty female. I do consider myself more non-binary though, or maybe gender fluid would be the best descriptor as well, because I do have occasional moments where I feel fine being like just a normal guy, but most of the time, like right now, I do feel very dysphoric. And that's why I'm asking you guys for any help that you can give me, because my situation right now, I don't really see any way outside of you guys' help. Because, and this is gonna be kept short and concise, I live with my parents. They're never going to accept me as a trans person. They just never will. And as a matter of fact, back when I started the YouTube channel, I was actually kind of slightly starting my transition back then, with like starting to grow out my hair. I even got to DIY HRT, but because my parents started noticing certain things, like my behavior had changed a lot and my clothes had changed a lot, I kind of had to stop doing that, because they were constantly nagging me about cutting my hair and just started to kind of be threatening in a certain way, and felt like they were ashamed of me and everything. And that just kind of stress just tired me out to the point where I just gave up. But as dysphoria goes, it just doesn't go away, you know. I still feel like this, and in fact, it's somewhat been intensifying again recently, so I just wanted to share this with you guys. And again, I would really appreciate any amount of support you can give me in regards to this, because I just don't see any way out of this. Because even if I moved out of my parents' house and got myself a job and everything, that's just not gonna work for long-term planning, because once I transition, it's like I probably will not be able to get myself a job, because my country is very transphobic. Nobody gives a shit about LGBT people at all. So there's not even much I can do even in terms of transitioning here. So
yeah, I don't know. I just would appreciate any amount of support you can give me, be it monetarily or in any way otherwise. And this is not about boosting my channel or anything, or guilt tripping you with my sob story. I just wanted to get this off my chest and make my subscribers aware of the situation that I am in, and that I would appreciate anything that you guys can help me out with. It would mean literally everything. Like, for example, a friend that I made after starting this YouTube channel, my good friend Yuri, has been helping me out a lot. And I genuinely might have not been here if it wasn't for him showing up and befriending me. So yeah, this just went a little bit longer than I intended, but I would just really appreciate anything you can support me with. That's kind of ultimately what I'm trying to say.
And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe. Also, check out the description to my Twitter if you don't follow me over there, and to my Wattpad where I post my stories, because in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, I'm also a writer. And if you enjoy my stories or you simply enjoy my videos, you can head over to my Patreon or to my Ko-fi account, where you can pledge your support and help get the channel going, help support me so I can keep writing the stories you enjoy. But if you don't want to do it, that's completely fine. You can still help me out in other ways, like liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and especially sharing this video with somebody who you think might enjoy it. And I think this is pretty much it for this video, so hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!